Hi guys, welcome to another episode of the Real Football Talk. Another brilliant week of football as we head towards the mid-season break. Adi, how are you doing?
Yeah, good.
Ah,
Um,
are you
yeah,
happy with the
bit
break?
chilled out this weekend. Chilled out, got
I
some
just,
well-earned rest and recovery.
good. You look better. You look better. It's good. It's good. Hopefully, you have the energy for the video.
So
Oh, I know why. Okay. That's what it's about. Okay, cool. It makes sense now.
that's it. Obviously,
Everything's connecting.
always Arsenal 5 points at the top.
Everything's connecting. Not because of that. But let's get going, Adil. Let's start with the game at St. James's Park, Newcastle versus Chelsea, who came into the game obviously after losing to Arsenal, really looking for a win. But again, a disappointing performance.
Yeah, that first half was like terrible. I thought the stage, other than the last 10 minutes, they were terrible, just as bad as they were at home against Arsenal, and they've got real problems. You can tell there's cracks there, there's discontent. Uh, Players aren't happy. You can see with their reactions when they're coming off. There's a real negative vibe there amongst the players. So,
Yeah.
um,
Is that towards Potter or is there something else? Because he's just recently come in, so
yeah, but he does things quite a bit different, doesn't he? So I think soon as the results, have tailed off, the performances have tailed off. You could tell he's that type of manager who, you know, is upsetting some of the senior stars because he doesn't play them all the time, or he's not afraid to take them off or play them out of position. So it's definitely, I think it's probably got something to do with the rotation that he keeps doing, and the fact that these players aren't getting the rhythm that they want in the position that they want.
but
And yeah, it's
but how
pretty
how
easy
would
that
that help
he
them though, Adil?
rotate.
How would that help the players if they play in different positions every week? Because
Well,
really do
it'll make
something
them
different.
more tactical, which is clearly his style is quite tactical. He likes to change his setup quite a bit. He did it with Brighton. I remember when it first got announced, we said that's going to be the challenge, whether he recognizes that he now has better players, so he doesn't need to be as creative or rely on tactics as a way to get his team attacking and up the pitch. Because you got better players ultimately that can carry out more creative functions without having to do the creativity yourself in your setup. So yeah, so basically he's sticking to what's worked at Brighton without recognizing better players. There comes more baggage, more ego, and less reliance on having to do these tactical changes every game. I mean, it's one thing doing it in game, totally another thing game on game at the start.
Different, yeah,
Yeah,
different.
especially when the players' confidence is going because you keep rotating them and you keep basically saying it's a squad game and you treat everyone the same. Not every player has the same ability.
Yeah.
And it was fine while they were getting results, but now the results and the performance have gone worse. It was average performances, great results.
Yeah.
Now it's poor results, poor performances. Um, and yeah, the break could not come at a better time for Chelsea and Graham Potter.
Yeah, because I think I don't know. They are what is it about 8 points behind Tottenham, I think. Which is from the top four spots. So it's just like they're losing ground every single week. So
Is that with the game in hand though?
a game in hand, yeah, game in hand.
So you're potentially 5 points. But I think the more worrying thing is they don't look like a team that can compete against the better teams in the league.
Hmm.
They got dismantled by Arsenal. They got totally dominated by Newcastle. And that first half, I mean, I think Newcastle might be the most hardest working team this year. Normally, we'd give that to the Leeds teams of Bielsa and to City, the way they press. But obviously, with their changes, they're not as press orientated. This Newcastle, that first half, the amount of energy they put in, I mean, the legs of Joe Linton, this guy can run forever, press forever.
It's
They've got quite a
it's
few
all of
players.
them everywhere because Chelsea couldn't get out, Adil. Chelsea could
Yeah,
not get out off the play. They couldn't work their way out. Every time they went somewhere, Joe Linton was doing marking two man, running from one side of the right centre back to the wing back. Sorry.
yeah, and the thing that was impressive about it was they were also bullying Chelsea. They were the ones leaving tackles in, flying in, having altercations with the players, and only when Havertz came on did you see a bit one player fighting back a bit from Chelsea. So Chelsea, I haven't seen, like I said it last week, I haven't seen a more disjointed home performance than that. And this, I mean, they're sliding down quite dramatically. And yeah, Graham Potter needs a good month here where he gets the confidence back, the identity back. And the thing is, it might suit him because clearly he's a manager who doesn't like to, he's a tinker man. He likes to rotate. He likes to change systems. So having more time with the backups and the reserves will help him because they will close the gap on the senior players, and then it'll be less of an issue for him when he keeps rotating because the drop off ain't as big. So I think it could benefit him. Certainly come at a good time because they need to regroup.
Yeah.
But yeah, if
Do
it
you
goes on
reckon?
like that, he ain't gonna be there for long. We know
That's
how.
what I was going to say. Do you reckon his job's in danger? Because this form is obviously concerning. They went five unbeaten and now they've gone five beat without win.
I think a lot will depend on how they do in January in terms of the signings and how he's doing with those signings. And then they have big investors. They have more pressure probably now than with Abramovich. That it's a ruthless culture. It's a winning culture, but there wasn't financial pressures.
No.
Now, even though they got all this money, all this investment, it's a group of investors. It's venture capitalists that have invested. It's people who think about the marketing, the value, they check the shares every day. That's a different pressure
They
now.
want results.
And yeah, soon as you get things trending downwards, they're gonna pull the trigger. It's and that's one thing about American sports is they're trigger happy when it comes to sacking managers and hiring managers, and it's that culture of giving someone a chance, a young blood, into they've stuck to what the American sports model is in what a lot of what they've done already.
Yeah.
But I think it's already a pressure situation from Grandpa, and the thing that is very evident in the last two games is he needs someone to help manage him because we never spoke about it last week, but it's one of the points I really wanted to discuss last week was, have you ever seen a manager get owned in Stamford Bridge the way Arteta was owning that sideline? I swear it felt like that was Arteta's home pitch, and then Graham Potter was so timid. He had his short little big assistant doing some of the talking for him while he just watched, and I was like, where's your fight, man?
Some people came out. Some people came out and said that apparently Arteta was too aggressive, but he was just being what he does.
Well, if the opposition manager's aggressive, you need to be even more aggressive. You know, you're at home. You need to. You can't have the opposition manager quieting the crowd and quieting your players. You got to bring the fight too. And it was the same against Newcastle. And the worst thing is, did you see? I was watching at the end of the match, and he semi-started walking onto the pitch to handshake his players,
Why?
or whatever,
Yeah.
or position, and he just stood like about 15 yards in from the tunnel. He just stood there, no one around him, changed his mind, turned around and went down the tunnel. And I was like, well, this is a guy who just does not feel comfortable at the moment.
I think he's feeling the
He
heat.
hasn't built
I
that
really
bond.
think he's feeling the pressure and the heat of the situation.
Yeah, I mean, and you know, his press conferences has got a bit of Roy Hodgson in it, innit? Literally is about to. It just sounds like the same thing being said again.
I
Just
can't
take
believe you
every
can't blame
pressure
Brother
off.
Roy Hodgson.
No, but it does have that feel of like afraid to say anything that is slightly shows
Controversy.
some ambition or commitment, or you know, I don't know, like this guy is as safe as they come.
But do you think the players are feeling that he's not maybe ambitious enough or ready to take that step or challenge them? Is that what it is? The players are too comfortable because this guy's not going to push me.
No, I just think he's upset some of the established stars, you know, and they're probably just bringing a bit more of a negative vibe. I don't think it's at a stage where it's toxic, because it only becomes toxic when the manager does something wrong. I don't think he's done anything wrong, but yeah, are they questioning? You could see it, you know, when they took was it Jorginho off or someone off
Yeah.
towards the end, and the way they were shaking their heads and questioning, and just the face they're making, you could tell, and like you're playing, um, you're playing Newcastle after a loss, a team that's already ahead of you. It's a 6-pointer for you already, and there's no Sterling, there's no you know, Kovacic, who he said since Potter's been there, he's been their best player.
I think Kovacic just did play, Adil.
He came on, didn't he? I don't think he started.
I think he started, Adil.
No, he didn't. It's Jorginho and Loftus-Cheek.
No,
He came
Kovacic started. Kovacic started,
on.
Adil.
So they played Loftus-Cheek on the right.
Loftus-Cheek was a right wing back.
I mean, no Aspilicueta, but
Aspilicueta plays at the right centre back with Gallagher, Mount behind Amanda Brocha.
Again, no Pulisic. It's like no Aubameyang. So I just think.
Is there a positive in Lewis Hall, the new youngster they've brought on left back?
He's a neat player. Showed composure on the ball. Nothing special. I mean,
he showed a bit more than some of the senior players.
He just showed he's a bit more confident right now because he's been given the nod ahead of Cucurella. That's the other thing. It's like and you can see probably that's what's upsetting players is, you know, you had a terrible performance against Arsenal. You lose to Man City's you know, backups.
Yeah.
Man City did play some senior players in that game, but you still, you know, you still lose to them, but you're claiming the performance was excellent, which I didn't bother watching the match, but so after the Arsenal, it was interesting to watch for me. But then you now have a situation where you go to Newcastle and you drop all these big players, you know, Sterling, Aubameyang.
You need characters, don't you? Yeah, especially against that.
Thiago Silva was on the bench, had to come on.
Yeah.
It's like, are you forfeiting the match before he's even started? You know, Aspilicueta on the bench, you're playing Loftus-Cheek on the right wing back position. Yeah, I just think, yeah, he's maybe.
Sorry, you know, when Thiago Silva came on, the intensity level for Chelsea all of a sudden went up because you could just see him ordering people about because everyone's just doing anything and everything. And getting out of position is just like ridiculous.
Yeah, and you could see even in the first half how frustrated Jorginho was with some of the play and the stuff the players were doing. And I don't know if he had the captain's armband. I think he did,
I think
because
Jorginho had the
it
captain's
seemed
armband.
like he was the one shouting and trying to rally the guys up. And you could just tell that the vibe is not right amongst the players.
But in terms of Newcastle, Adil, can they take that next step? Because obviously January is coming up. They got money to spend. They can strengthen the team even more. Can they push for? Can they push for that top four?
They can, mainly because of the season that is. I mean, you can see the energy levels difference. Even against the last week, a lot of people, rightly criticized Man United's performance against Aston Villa, but you can see the difference. Like, the teams that are in Europe are really struggling physically now.
Yeah.
Even City, they're not the same team. They're struggling physically. You can see that. They've had loads of injuries. They've not been able to rotate as much as Pep likes to, and he's not got as big a squad as he normally does. So you can see the only team that looks fresh every Prem game is Arsenal right now.
And Newcastle.
And that's, Newcastle, because they're not in Europe. I'm talking about the teams that are in Europe. Tottenham, it looks leggy. United look leggy. Liverpool look leggy, So the only team that always looks fresh in a Prem match is Arsenal. And it's maybe because that's the Europa League thing, or the Europa League Conference League, whichever one it is. They're able to rotate a bit more. But and so that's the only reason why I think Newcastle have a chance, is because it's such a crazy schedule even after the World Cup. It's literally games, 2-3 games a week, all the time.
Yeah.
And I think that's a huge advantage right now this season. That's a huge advantage. So Newcastle have real opportunity to upset. And the thing you have to credit, they're doing it. They've done it, a lot of it, without key players. Wilson was out for a period of time.
Isak's been missing.
Isak is out.
Yeah, Saint Maximilian's been missing as well.
Yeah, so they're finding different ways and different solutions. So they've had injuries. So, like I said, the only one I'd really be interested to see is how they do when Guimaraes gets injured. That would be, because even in this game, Chelsea, he was just a standout player. I mean, they just could not press him or go close him down. He really is controlling and defining matches right now because of his quality.
There's nothing else to say really on that. But what did you make of Joe Willock? Brilliant finish, playing in a out of position.
But it's playing in like a midfield, midfield. But they all play the same. Whether it's Joe Linton, whether it's Sean Longstaff, they all just high energy. They're just pressing non-stop, sprinting back, tracking back non-stop. They must be one of the highest teams for sprints and presses.
So the stats says every game they are overworking their opposition in every game, every single game.
And you see it. Especially in the first half, the way they emptied the tank out in the first half, you think they're going to suffer in the second half, and they managed to manage it well in the second half.
I think he really uses his subs quite well as well, in terms of bringing on Murphys and stuff to just really get that energy back on. But Adil, let's move on to Arsenal away at Wolves. After knowing that obviously Man City lost, go into the game, good win. Odegaard finally managed to step up.
That's a bit harsh. Finally, I think he's had quite a strong season.
Few games.
But he stepped up already this year quite a bit, in my opinion. More than last year. Last year I had some question marks about him, but actually because of a certain somebody's criticisms of him, I actually pay closer attention to him more now because of that, and I've actually got more appreciation for him for now I can see what he brings to the team more. And the biggest quality that he actually brings to the team is he's definitely the leader on the organization and off the ball work, the pressing.
Yeah.
His frustrating is that he closes down and then doesn't always put a tackle in. But in terms of been intense in the closing down, intense in organizing off the ball, the communication he does off the ball, the way he pushes the team up all the time to close down from goal kicks. You can see why he's the captain, Arteta made the captain, because he really has a strong focus on off the ball work.
Yeah, I mean, I saw that last year when I went to the games. A key game to mention is like the Man City game. It was him that was the one that's talking, even though the captain wasn't the. It was Odegaard that was leading that press or organizing that press or identifying problems and speaking to the bench to get a solution.
Yeah, and I think this this game was more the Chelsea game, and this game has really shown me something about this team. I mean, the development of the team is the maturity. They're learning very quickly from their mistakes or the games they've drawn or dropped points, which haven't been many, but you can see how quickly they are really developing. And this team really trusts Arteta. I mean, every drinks break, they're all literally huddling around him, waiting for him to give instructions. And that first half was difficult because, Wolves just defended. It was such a defensive setup. It's hard. It's hard to break them down. They were so deep, and they didn't panic at any point. They didn't go gun. I was expecting they're going to give chances away. They're going to go two. Yeah, they didn't play great first half, but they controlled it.
So they were slow in moving the ball. That was the problem with
me. And there wasn't enough overlaps.
No.
They were, they're trying to do too much individual or getting it down the central where it's too compact. And you're right, definitely slow. The defenders are very slow in playing the ball forward.
Across.
The only player who was playing the ball forward at a decent tempo was Partey, but again, he wasn't getting the
ball enough.
So but again, it's a triumph of tactics. It's a triumph of Arteta's managerial skills, because he made the adjustments in the second half, and both goals came from similar moves. And that attacking down that left-hand side, getting an underlapping, getting the ball out wide, getting an underlapping, playing the ball to that, and getting crosses.
Getting the crossing.
So, definitely, kudos to the team, and they really managed and controlled the game like a confident team, like a team that is in the top of their game, and real developments, big developments.
The other question is, everyone's talking about is this team ready to obviously challenge, or can they be classified as title challengers?
Definitely they are. Because of the development of the team. I mean, again, for many teams, this World Cup break is coming at a good time. Chelsea, definitely. United, definitely. Even City, definitely. They've got players who have been out, who, they've got new players into teams that now they can integrate into their system. So even for City, they're looking a bit leggy. They haven't been able to rotate as much. Tottenham, definitely. So there's only two teams this break doesn't suit. That's Newcastle and
Arsenal.
And even Newcastle, they're going to get some players back. So for them, it's not so bad. Arsenal, for the best part, they've had their best 11 out.
Yeah.
Do you get it? So
hopefully, the Croydon De Bruyne comes back, light some energy in for us, and we spend.
Yeah, but the fact that the season resumes like 4 days before the transfer window starts.
Yeah.
You just know someone like a City or Liverpool, those efficient operators might get an early January signing in to boost their numbers,
change everything.
Because I think everyone's got a month off to assess their season now. So United are going to say, look, this condensed season,
We need.
is throwing up challenges. We need to spend in January. We
They
don't
will
like
spend.
doing it. And I think a lot of the teams are going to commit to January signings just because of the World Cup. And
Yeah.
just because now they've seen how hard it is to maintain a top four challenge or to go for trophies with this condensed schedule. So I think, the experience of the last 3 months is going to make changes. Like this January is going to be a record January for signings in the Premier League.
I mean,
But end of the day, they've all now experienced it. They've realized they're not going to be able to do it without getting extra players in. So
yeah, we definitely need it. Arsenal definitely. That squad is too thin. That squad, Partey needs a replacement, and I think we need a player in the front three position that can play all three. That's definitely needed. If without that, oh my god, like I know it's just gonna go downhill.
well, I'm surprised you didn't say a backup centre forward. So does that mean you're
So
convinced by Nketiah now?
no, that can play in the front three positions. That includes striker.
Yeah, that's good luck finding that player.
Yeah, Zaha maybe. He can do it. He can do. He'll probably do a better job than Nketiah.
Yeah,
But
I think let's see. I think it's a tough one. It's a real tough. I mean, that's the one thing that probably is cutting against Arsenal is everyone has got a chance to regroup. They got a month to regroup to
yeah,
assess.
yeah.
So in a normal it's not a normal season, but if there wasn't this break, I would say 100%. Arsenal are legit title contenders, maybe even getting to the stage of one of the favorites because of the amount of games everyone has to play that are meaningful. A lot of Arsenal's cup games aren't meaningful. They're playing Marquinhos and all of them are winning still easily to get it. So now that teams get to assess 1 month off, it's just going to be harder. But they are definitely genuine title challengers. And they look the part. Right now, they look the part.
Let's hope it continues, Adu. Keeping me happy. Let's move on. Man City obviously got done over by a left out Tony, who was frustrated for not being taken to the World Cup. Even I was frustrated why he wasn't taken to the World Cup. But what did you make of the game? It felt like VAR was just looking to give penalties to Man City and checking every single decision over and over again.
I don't think they were looking to give that. I just think that's the impact of De Bruyne and all those players, which, that's the thing.
In a matter of 10 minutes, they looked 5 times like nothing that you can clearly tell.
Because the players were just calling for everything and surrounding the referee. So they made everything look genuine. And the good thing was VAR got every decision right. They were all non-penalties. So,
but Adi, if it was vice versa, if the referee had given VAR, wouldn't have turned over, as in wouldn't have ruled it over.
Well, I don't know, but the good thing was that VAR didn't give it. I mean, we've seen plenty of times where they get too involved, and glad he did. I mean, most of them were fast. I mean, Haaland was literally headbutting the back of the defenders. He's literally running into them and then trying to go like he's being held and pulled, and something has to be said about the new Anthony Gordon of the league, Kevin De Bruyne. I mean, that's that dive and the way he's trying to win a penalty, it's just too much now. I mean, he got away with it last week. He's trying again this week. For me, that's what worries me. That shows weak mentality. I was quite critical of United against Aston Villa. Every time they go into the box, they were more interested in trying to win a penalty than they would to take a shot on goal. And a lot of the time, City had that same attitude where they just wanted to get the decision from the referee.
Yeah, but I mean, Brentford really took it to them. I mean, it's not like Brentford just sat back there. They really tried attacking them and really took the game to them as well,
Yeah,
and had loads
they
of
played
chances
quite
too.
direct,
Yeah,
and that Henry was really prominent in the first half. He done
Rico
quite
and
a few
yeah,
dribbles,
driving. Yeah,
yeah, quite a lot of driving runs where pinned them back a bit, and they got the ball in the box early. They really forced you know Akanji and Laporte to have to defend, and you can see. I mean, I was surprised because I was expecting them to be a bit more sharper. Some of the players have had a few weeks off, but they looked leggy. I mean, Cancelo, looked leggy. A lot of players just looked tired, and yeah,
well, do
they
you reckon there's a
didn't
factor
play
of
well.
them saving themselves for the World Cup? Because I mean, 10 out of the 11 players were going World Cup.
No, I think they've become, we've said it, and that's why I've looked a bit silly in my predictions when I keep saying it. I don't think they're going to run away. I don't think because I've been basing it on the performances rather than the results. And now, if you look at the results, phenomenal results.
Mm.
Haaland doing, but when you actually watch the matches, they're not very convincing at the moment, and they have become very one-dimensional. I.e., they all they do is literally De Bruyne just
Look
hits the
for
box.
Haaland.
Every
Yeah,
they all just look for De Bruyne, and then it's a cross into the box.
yeah.
It's become very one-dimensional now. You're not going to get any joy against Pinnock. Who else did have at the back? Three giants Brentford have.
Pinnock,
Who
Ben
are,
Mee, and
who are
yeah, Jurgensen. Jurgensen.
yeah, yeah, Zanka, whatever. They're all excellent in the air. They prefer defending crosses.
Yeah.
And the only time they were actually able to unlock was when they managed to get Gundogan into the pocket. We see a bit of 1-2 creativity, and the strange thing was the whole second half they actually played De Bruyne as a right back. So sometimes we've seen him play on the right side, and
Right hand side,
maybe
yeah.
and maybe the right back overlaps, and he kind of waits for the pullback cross. He actually played as a right back, so a lot of the time when the counter attacks happened, he was the guy defending, and it was strange,
Well, he saved one off the line, I do.
yeah, but again, that's my point. They actually were playing him as a right back, and Stones in the central midfield, and yeah, I think they have become one-dimensional. They're not as convincing. They are definitely not pressing, and I think it might be all tactical. It might be all because of the amount of games they're playing. So they may be
Saving a
playing a
leg
different
for
way
yeah.
because of the conditions, and
Mm.
that we might see the real City after
I mean, he is a
final
genius,
wave.
so you wouldn't put it past him, would you? Because I mean, as long as they're in between that, all they need to do is beat Arsenal twice, and they're overtaking them. And it's not like Arsenal going to go the whole season without losing. So
But it's not also like City will go the rest of the season winning. So
yeah,
I
but
think that's
they,
a
they,
bit
they, they can do it, innit? That's the thing.
exaggeration. I
They
mean,
can do it.
they can reel off, but at the moment you can't say that confidently because they're not as convincing. I mean, if you think about it, they've done a lot of what they did last year, a lot of late goals, a lot of late comeback. There's a couple of weeks in a row where there were 2 goals down. I think both weeks they might have got late winners.
Mm,
You know, their defense is not as solid. So teams can beat them.
yeah.
I don't think they're as conquering as the results have shown, and and the fear factor of Haaland. But this is the first team where all three defenders literally bullied Haaland, and the guy was sulking the whole match. He was sulking the whole match. He did not like the physical way they were holding him. They were, pushing him, controlling him, and he had a terrible game.
Is that the way to go about it then to defeat Haaland? Because obviously before that he was having a field day with every single defender that was coming
Yeah,
up. But it's three,
but
two.
we can't really say because this is the first set of defenders that weren't
Mm,
fearful of him.
yeah.
They actually just defended and played their game. The amount of defenders that have literally seen Haaland and decided to retreat into the goal line. You get it? Because they're so afraid to go close to him.
Yeah.
He's not, he's a threat in behind. He's an amazing finisher, but he's not going to waltz past you, dribble past you. He's not Messi or De Bruyne. Do you get it? And
Yeah.
so to retreat to that level, so it's good to see the way Brentford defenders, managed him, because it'll give confidence to others. He won't have it as easy.
What did you make of Tony, obviously, after his disappointment?
Strange thing is, I don't think he should be in the squad personally.
Okay.
But I would have taken him only for one reason, for his penalty taking ability.
Yeah.
And only because, you're a lad 26, so you can carry a player for his specialism in set pieces, But, in terms of looking at the game, he had two open goals where he literally, one he found De Bruyne, the second one he found Edison. They were open goals. Like, if you're international quality, I'm sorry, you're gonna have a lot more composure. He barely could turn on the shot. He couldn't open up the goal. So he ended up giving himself only half the goal. He's heavily reliant on his right foot. I can see a lot of flaws in his game, even though he's very effective and very productive for Brentford. I don't think he's international class in some of the things he does. It's, like those two chances really showed me his lack of composure and thing. And he got two goals. They're instinctive. He's great with his head, good with the build-up, really strong. He's got a lot of other good qualities. I wouldn't say he's I think he's a good player, but
you don't think he's ready for him to be taken to the?
He can do a job, but when
Yeah.
we're talking about elite strikers, elite players, I don't consider him, even if he scores 20 goals a season. It's his technique, there's flaws in it, and but he's got a lot of other good qualities in the game, in his game. So yes, certainly if there was a Harry Kane or other options, then yeah, he's still a viable player, but I don't know if I'd put him ahead of people like Ollie Watkins and other players who didn't make the squad. I
Really?
definitely would have put him ahead of Wilson. So that's my personal. This again, it's down to all round game. I don't think he's as good. But a lot of his numbers include penalties.
Yeah, I mean, same thing could be said about Wilson's as well, isn't it? But yeah.
I don't know if one Newcastle get as many penalties, and if he's even on the pitch to take half of them.
That's another concern in itself, because how long is he even going to be on there for?
Yeah, but that's why I think it works well, because it's going to be Harry Kane
and a one-legged Wilson.
Yeah, but Wilson is only going to play if Harry Kane is injured. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
If they can get, if Harry Kane is fit for 7 games, he's the striker for 7 games. They're not going to rest him. They're not going to rotate him. Wilson is only there as cover, as a backup, and I think that suits him.
Let's move on to Tottenham 4-3 thriller. But again, it seems to be the same problem with them of going back and coming back into the game and winning, more through mentality than anything else.
Recently hasn't been just mentality. I mean, they have actually played good football to create those chances and get those goals, and I think Conte recognizes that he hasn't got a squad where he can rotate. So I think it might be out of necessity that they take a half off every game, because he really is having, he only trusts his first 11, and that's it really. He hasn't got much of a squad where he can rotate between. So I think, it seems like maybe that's by necessity he's doing it, and again, it could be one of the it could be another thing based around the World Cup and those type of factors. I mean, we don't know how much it's affecting, but I think it is. The more and more I look at it, you can see the decisions made by Ten Hag or Conte or even Pep. It is, it is based around this season and how it's so different from anything else than anything that like a normal season. So that might be the formula he's using to counteract the fact that he hasn't got a squad to rotate players. And they got they got to the next round of the Champions League.
They're still in a good position.
The third position, is it fourth now? Yeah,
fourth. Sorry, yeah, fourth.
So yeah, they're doing they're making it work with what they have, and I just think maybe that's the ploy, that's the tactic, and we're criticizing it, and they don't seem to do anything about it. They seem to sit off and take the first half off still. And when they do turn on, they play good football. I mean, they really know how to put the pressure on and pile it on.
Yeah. Do we think we're going to see a change in the second half of the season? Is there going to be a shift or?
Not unless they get more players in. I think it depends more on how their January goes, and that's why he's doing the negotiation tactics with his contract, because it runs out in the summer. He wants to make sure the commitment is there to buy the players that he wants in January.
Yeah, he keeps mentioning about the fact that I'm short on players, this that, and keeps talking about and blabbing on about how he's he isn't being backed and how other teams have had 3-4 years, 4 windows and stuff. So clearly seems like he's sending a message upstairs to Daniel Levy.
I think he's also sending a message to the fans because it's kind of an unrealistic fan base. They boo over the slightest thing. As soon as the team goes down a bit, they start moaning about the football.
But they're very critical about the way Tottenham play.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, the most important thing in football is winning, and you've done nothing playing fancy football, and you now have a manager who everyone respects, everyone's fearful of, everyone knows Tottenham, under Conte. He's brought bite into that team. That's what it takes to win. You need battle-hardened players to win. And he's creating that. So, don't complain. You haven't won nothing. You either want titles or you don't.
Yeah.
If you got Conte, back him, trust him. He'll improve. The football will improve eventually. Right now, he's building the club to win titles, to be able to perform at the big stages, and they're doing it. Every time they're under pressure, they turn up. They do a comeback invariably most of the time. Or even when it hasn't, it's been close. It's been because of odd VAR decision or things like that. Again, Conte was complaining about VAR, and we've been saying it for quite a long time since VAR's come out.
Yeah,
you always see that City and Spurs get the benefit of the doubt. Well, today, this game, they got ridiculous decision for them.
Well, that first goal for Harry Kane, he shouldn't have stood.
Yeah, how on earth is that not a foul on the keeper?
Yeah.
That's the most obvious and easiest decision to make.
Listen, Kane scored. They need to give Kane confidence for the World Cup. So the referees have decided they're going to allow the goal.
No, that's just ridiculous. I think that one is one of the most ridiculous ones of the season. You couldn't get more clear-cut foul on the keeper.
Well, he fully budges into him, Adi.
Carries him into the goal.
Yeah.
They're giving penalties for soft stuff, and then someone literally He's lifting a player, pushing him with two hands. Two players literally pushing him into the goal.
Yeah, it was Richarlison and I think Longley.
Lindley, yeah, but you just think it's ridiculous. So yeah, but it's impressive. Bentancur is impressive. Kulusevski again.
I mean, some of those touches, I think it's just been brilliant to get the way he beats the player because of the speed of thought and the way he moves the ball away from the defender. It's amazing.
Yeah, they're the new Fergie time team, man. Every 90 minutes you're gonna expect a goal from them. On the 90th minute, they always got a goal or something in them. They go to the end, they take the first half off, and once they got the momentum, they're hard forced to stop.
Yeah. Do you think Leeds will be disappointed considering the amount of time they went ahead? I think all three times they went ahead and then Spurs came back.
I think there's some positives to take out of it because each time they've done a comeback.
Yeah.
So there's a positive in that aspect that, three times Spurs two times Spurs pegged you back. You're able to gather yourself and take control again. But obviously, the disappointment will be those last two goals because the defender was non-existent. You can see the Leeds players were so tired they couldn't be bothered to even track back.
Yeah. I think they run out of gas, isn't it?
Yeah, you can see gaps and Jesse Marsh, I have to say, tactically, I think he's poor. I mean, he's very good at rolling the dice. He's a bit like Emery.
Yeah.
He's gonna end up 4 strikers on the pitch and things like that. He'll go to a 4-2-4, things like that. You can just tell he keeps rolling the dice. But he never ever takes Tyler Adams off, even when the guy is on a tightrope, even when he's tired. And he got red carded eventually, second yellow. But he was so tired.
It was a silly yellow though.
But he was so tired. He was so tired. You have to take players off, so I think he has his favorites. He doesn't like taking the American players off. Put it that way.
Is that what it's down to? Yeah.
I know he is American, but he rarely takes Aronson or Thingy off. Tyler Adams off, and so you can tell they're tired. They're high energy football they're playing. The last 50 minutes it just drops off.
So Tyler Adams ended up having to be forced off. Yeah, that's what happened.
Yeah.
That's fine. Adil, let's move on to Liverpool. 3-1 victory against Southampton. Obviously, Southampton first game for Nathan Jones from Luton. Not the greatest of start to go to Anfield straight away. 3-1 win. What did you make of it?
Open game, end to end. This is what we're gonna get from Liverpool now. The 4-2-2-2 system. They're not gonna control games. They're gonna give loads of chances. And yeah, they're gonna do what they did in this game, last few games, rely on Alisson a lot.
Yeah, I mean, Alisson pulled off some of
That
the
second half. I mean, he pulled off a really good saves.
It's just
First
Alisson.
half, Southampton had good opportunities. They didn't quite make the best out of. And yeah, both teams played. I mean, Southampton played too open first half. They went toe to toe. They're a bit too aggressive with their pressing, and they got punished. But second half they dominated. I thought they dominated Liverpool, and Liverpool really struggled to get a foothold, and they suffered. And if it wasn't for Alisson being on top form with his new haircut,
I for a second it thought it's Adrian.
You same here.
I was like, how is Adrian making those saves? I was like, what?
I actually was thinking, who the heck is that? I had to look twice and realized, oh my gosh, he looks so different with his haircut.
Listen, I just couldn't believe. So I had to look at the lineups just to make sure that it was Alisson, because I kept thinking, why is Adrian making these saves? Like, oh, it's crazy. But in terms of Nathan Jones, what did you make of his first impression? Obviously for Southampton, it seems like he's done great tactical work in the second half time to change the game.
They looked good. I thought they looked good. they went out wide more. They got overlaps in more. They attacked the right zones. Again, they realized. We've watched Luton loads of times. Nathan Jones likes to attack through the center of the pitch a lot, overcrowds the middle of the pitch. Here, I was surprised he didn't go to his diamond and slightly stuck to 4-2-3-1. But I thought second half they realized the 4-2-2-2 system and realized spread the two midfielders out, spread their narrow formation and you're going to get full control of the game.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. They dominated the second half. They had loads of chances. And yeah, I liked the character of the team. I liked the way they played. And I thought it's quite a positive performance, positive start. Yeah, there's naivety in the first half in the way they defended.
You're going to get that with the young team. They're very young, aren't they? So
yeah. But I think the signs looked good. It looked good to me.
But this break will be good for him as well, isn't it? It gives him almost a pre-season for him. And he's obviously seen the players against their top team, Liverpool. So he'll have a good idea of what players are. And then it gives him that pre-season to really work on his tactics and formations.
That's why I think a certain lot of teams have taken more risks this year. If you think about it, De Zerbi, even Emery, all these decisions are based because you basically got another pre-season.
Yeah.
And so you can assess it. And there may be one or two more still to come. There may be some Prem teams that decide to use this opportunity to sack some managers still.
I mean, I don't know about other teams, but Arsenal got, I think, 3 or 4 games lined up during the World Cup break.
A lot of teams are like given 2 weeks off, and then the next 2 weeks is a full preseason in a nice, in Spain or Portugal.
And that.
Yeah, and then and where they've arranged friendly fixtures with European and Premiership teams. So I think most teams are doing the same thing.
Yeah. So I mean that will help him a lot, isn't it? Because then he can get his ideas and implement them, right? So positives for.
Yeah, I mean this might set a trend. Some of these owners might see the ka-ching in selling these second round of preseason games and tours.
Well, I mean, from next year there is a winter break for 1 week coming in, so
he couldn't do it for 1 week.
But
this one's a bit more of a winter, what you call a real winter break.
Full on break, isn't it? 1 month, yeah.
It might. When people see the potential benefits in the bank balance, they might start pushing for this a bit more. I don't know.
Voting it in, 1 month into break. I had really hoped that doesn't.
3 weeks. Let's see.
I really hope that doesn't.
I mean, it just feels strange to be stopping right now when it's just really at the thick of the action.
Yeah, but what I mean, I love the Christmas period, so I hope it doesn't happen because there's just so many games, intense, one after another. There's no break. So yeah, I hope that doesn't go. Yeah, that's what's great about the Premier League. But I mean, in terms of Liverpool, obviously they closed the gap now. 6th place, 22 points, really pushing for that top 4. Do you reckon
they're going to be thereabouts? I mean, again, that's another team that's going to become a lot more stronger second half of the season because they're going to have players back, and you can tell they are going to do signings. Why is FSG looking to sell? Because at the end of the day, there's an acceptance that their Moneyball structure, sell before you buy. It's not going to compete in this era of the Premier League where you have investment capital companies willing to pay serious money to keep the investment value up. You've got whole countries owning
buying state ownership.
Yeah, state ownership, where they got unlimited resources. Everyone needs a big benefactor now. Everyone needs to be applying money just to make money now.
Yeah,
it's got to the stage where you got to spend stupid money just to make money because United are going to keep spending, Newcastle are going to keep spending, Arsenal will still commit to spending now. You got
I really hope you're right.
they're managing. They're managing. Yeah, they're gonna do a bit smarter, but they're still gonna commit to spending. They're not
Yeah.
gonna go for ready-made, but they're gonna go for guys who are close to taking that step.
Mm.
And then you got Tottenham. They managed to get Levy to. Conte is gonna force Levy to.
And money.
Start spending some serious money. So I think FSG have realized that and realized this is probably the best time to make a serious killing. You've barely put any of money in of your own. It's all financed by the banks, and you've made a big winner. And I think that's smart investment.
They could take it down as a positive as well, because at the end of the day, no matter what you say, in their era, they won the Premier League, they won the Champions League. Obviously it's down to Klopp, but it's
At the end of the day,
they have to do it. They've done it. They hired the man, they hired the director, everything. It was done. It was them.
they put all the systems in place. So I mean, it's definitely going to be a successful era under them. And they're moving out at the right time. If they are all about the money, then it makes sense, because right now, and they tried doing it that method of 1 or 2 signings a season. That's not good enough anymore.
Yeah.
The way everyone else is spending money, you got to be willing to pull out your coffers, and I think that's what it is. So Liverpool, to go back to Liverpool, well strengthened. They will always be in that shout. They will have Jota and Diaz back.
That'll be massive.
Be stronger.
That'll be massive.
And yeah, I don't know. Let's see how long they're gonna go with this 4-2-2-2 system. Like, what is this a stopgap until they buy another midfielder or find another system? I don't know, because clearly in Europe they stick to 4-3-3, and for Premiership they're going to 4-2-2-2. So interesting to see.
Interesting space to wait and see. Let's move on to United. Away at Fulham, 2-1 win last minute. A Garnacho goal. What did you make of it?
Very cruel on Fulham.
Yeah.
Smash and grab, as you never see one. That second half was ugly from United.
I could not believe how Fulham did not score.
And yeah, to get to be fair, a lot of the shots were straight at him, but they were hit well. They were good strikes. He got good hands to him. He got him out of that danger area. He still, De Gea is known for not being so alert. So he was alert. He done his saves that he should have done, and really cruel on Fulham. They completely dominated the whole second half. First half, they were the better team. Is an even game. But second half, they completely dominated.
Yeah.
And I could not believe how the performance of Casemiro was. First half, he was one of the best players on the pitch. The amount of breaking up he done in that first half, reading. Second half, he literally gave the ball away 20 times in a row. All ridiculous long balls going to no one. No chance of hitting anyone. And I think
it felt like he was hitting zones rather than the player.
And it got to the point where I just felt like maybe this is just the tactics. They've realized they've got no more legs left. I mean, some of the players were just standing; they could not move. And maybe they just realized let's just play, clear it and press, because we haven't got the energy to do build-up play and play. It's definitely seemed like an instruction because of they did it literally 100% of the time, and 100% of the time it went straight to the opposition.
Yeah,
or out of place. So it seemed like it was like there was an acceptance that what, we can't keep this up. So let's just try and hold on for what we have. And Fulham deservedly got an equalizer. Should have got a thingy, but then they got done by the sucker punch.
Yeah.
But
you could potentially say maybe because he was tired. But I was really disappointed the Decade overread, because he just didn't seem to put the burners on. It's just like strolling.
I think he put a level of burners on, but no one anticipated Garnacho's got that turn of pace. He hasn't showed it in any game. And maybe if it was Rashford running in on that, they could would have sprinted full tilt. But it's like he sprinted at 90%.
That's what I mean. It didn't.
Garnacho,
Yeah.
Garnacho, and the speed of Garnacho just caught him by surprise.
Because it's like last minute, it felt like just little bit of switch off, and that's it. It cost him the game. Lost 3 points. Not 3 points, 2 points, but I mean, again, good time for a break for United.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, there's so much of what United are doing. Yeah, they're punching above their weight, I think. You know, for them to be fifth, 3 points off, 2 points off Tottenham.
2 points off Tottenham, yeah, with a game in hand.
With the problems they've had, with the imbalance in the squad that they've had. Yeah, I know they've spent money, but there's still a lot of players that aren't Ten Hag players. And he's making do, and he's doing a lot of things like Arteta did. I.e., he's deliberately sticking to a small squad and not using some players. Like today, it's ridiculous that he played Malacia as the right back. The guy got absolutely slaughtered in the first half. You know, Willian was having a field day, and I think Marco Silva made a mistake in not getting Daniel James on that side.
To go at him.
Because, you know, he would have absolutely finished Malacia off. But yeah, you know, but what is he doing? Wan-Bissaka's been training for a few weeks, ain't using him. You got Phil Jones on the bench. You got you know, you got other players, but
do you reckon they will all be sold in January?
Maguire at centre back, Lindelof at right back.
Yeah.
He's done it. He's played Lindelof there before in one of the European games. So it's I think he's making it clear. You know, he wants certain players out. They're not really part of the plans, and maybe by even when the players are tired, sticking to certain players, I think it's just giving the indication to those players. Maybe I need to talk to my agent. Maybe I need to start thinking about my long-term future at Old Trafford. So I think he's doing a lot of the work that Arteta did in terms of clearing out players he don't want, who don't have the mentality that he needs. And you can't help but be impressed, because even though they've had some really poor performances, you can see it's a process. You can see what he's trying to do, and everything he says is the right thing. You know, he's saying the right things. There are a lot of similarities.
I just love how straightforward he is, and he goes and says it is without any sugarcoating or anything, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, there is a lot of similarities. There's a lot of similarities to him and Fergie. In, you know, the way they operate, the way they say things, the standards they're setting, the winning mentality. Yeah, so I just think, they're punching above their weight. If they are able to get a few more signings.
What do they need, Adil? What positions?
Everywhere, man. Everywhere. It's clear
priority, because obviously you can't.
From what they're looking at, you could tell right back is a priority.
Yeah.
Because Dallo cannot play the sheer number of games, and he clearly doesn't want Wan-Bissaka. So I think right back is a priority for them. A striker is a priority, because it's obvious, especially the way the last 2 games Cristiano Ronaldo hasn't even been in the squad.
Yeah,
that probably he'll be moving on in January. You got contract situations with both Martial and Rashford, so it just makes sense. Get a striker in, strengthen your negotiations with them 2 players. And they might need another winger. I mean, they're having to rely on Garnacho and Elanga a lot now.
Well, that's because Anthony's out, right, at the moment. Obviously, Sancho's out.
Sancho's out now.
Once they're both back.
No, but at the end of the day, you have to actually question, does Sancho warrant being ahead of Garnacho, looking at the impact of Garnacho?
I mean,
You know, so yeah, there's positions that need strengthening. Ideally, you could tell he would like a better centre back. That's why he probably wants to move
Maguire,
Maguire
off,
on.
yeah, just to get a bit more money.
And what it shows is Lindelof has managed to get ahead of Maguire in the pecking order. But I'd love for them to get rid of Lindelof. I mean, the guy is totally irritating to watch. His mindset, his mental, I can't. So I hope that's phase 2 is Lindelof and them going off, into the sunset.
Let's hope they get rid of Phil Jones first, because he's there for God knows
No,
how
but you
long,
can tell he's not playing them, so they're gonna let them go.
making the money.
He-
90K.
You can tell
90K.
he's not hoarding like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer did.
Yeah.
He wants to clear the decks. So I like that. I like the fact that he's doing
Listen,
that.
I just think the board needs to listen to him and just like take your losses in those players. You're spending anyways a lot of money. Just do it and just get in the players that you need.
Yeah, I wouldn't fully give all the power to Ten Hag,
No,
but yeah,
not in that
definitely.
sense. As in some of the deadwood players that you really know that's not going to be there.
No, that's the thing. That's the thing with Russell Arnold is he's very much like David Gill. He's back in the manager. This is the manager. He doesn't try to complicate things. He trusts the people he puts in charge, and he trusts common sense, which is something Woodward never had. So yeah, I think they're kind of doing a revolution at quite a fast pace. And they're punching above their weight. I mean, we're expecting them to be as high as they are. Yeah, have they really warranted it? Some of the games they've been lucky to get the wins, but that shows the winning mentality they have. And yeah, they're definitely ahead of schedule considering the type of changes that Ten Hag is trying to make. Is top to bottom. And I really like what he said today about the progress the club has made. You can see that between the fans, the directors, the staff, and the players, they are united. I mean, they unite in a lot of areas where there's
It was disjointed this previously, wasn't it? Because of there
no,
was a
but
group concern.
look at how much the Cristiano Ronaldo's situation gets handled. Look at Harry Maguire's situation, the way it's getting handled. You're not seeing leaks. You're not seeing forever rumors going out.
Yeah.
There's a lot to be impressed with, and you just think they must be planning to strengthen that squad or balance that squad slightly more, especially if they get rid of players, which I think United will have more players going out in January than coming in. I think they'll have quite a few players like the Jones, Wisaka, because he's not using them.
Yeah, at all. Some of them.
And I think that's the clear sign that he's making. I mean, to play Malacia right back when you got Wan-Bissaka available.
Yeah, that's
as clear cut as you can get.
Let's move on, Adia, and just focus on anything else that caught our eyes. One thing that caught my eyes is the Bournemouth-Everton game. I mean, is Lampard under pressure? Because he made the excuse during the cup game, obviously rotating the players, and now obviously this game.
But he didn't really rotate that many.
But then he came into this game. Obviously, I think Connor Cody or someone came on saying they're really upset about it and they're going to put a performance in, and they go and put that performance in again.
No, he said at the end of the game, the players need to take a good hard look at themselves, because basically, and this is the thing, Everton fans are just might be the most gassed fans in the Premiership, because they had a manager who has won stuff in Benitez. They threw him out. They didn't really give him a chance. They didn't back him. Then they've got what they wanted: a British young manager who fits their ego of oh, he's England international and blah blah blah. You can tell it's a club that thinks they're in the upper echelons, and they're not. They haven't been for a long time because of the board is a joke. And they keep blaming the owner who throws money at it, but it's the people who run the club day to day that are a joke.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I think Lampard, the thing that frustrates me about Lampard as a manager is his press conferences is like excuses galore. But the moment they win, he's like Brendan Rodgers, loves taking the credit. Oh, we worked on something in training. He'll always say something that is indirectly referring to
I just find it
he's
very
done.
dull.
Yeah, other than that, it's very
I
dull.
find
You
it
can tell
dull.
he's
I'm
all
not
at
gonna
sea.
lie.
Yeah, outside of when they're losing, he's all at sea. You don't know what he's saying. He's trying to talk in a very general way. He talks like he's some experienced old head. It's like he's trying to teach and educate the reporters and the rest of the football fans about how football works.
Well, that's
And
what he said, didn't he? He was. Oh, it's funny. He
yeah,
said because he
it's
came
not
out and
work
said,
like
"Oh,
that. It's
the,
realistic. It's
the
saying the same thing.
fans need to be realistic because you know what? This year we knew it's gonna be a hard fought battle for us." And
He's just excuses, man. At the end of the day, it's sad to see a guy who's, we thought had winning mentality, and as a manager, all he's got is excuses. I mean, I thought the same thing at Chelsea, and he's just a manager full of excuses. But what I was trying to get back to is what frustrates me most about Lampard is the fact that he took how long was he out of the game for, a year? Or
yeah,
however many. He didn't do what Eddie Howe did. He never went around studying, understanding the game, realizing he's gone back to Everton, another big club.
well, it wasn't even a year. It was about 6 months, I think. Because yeah,
However long it was, he's gone back into a big club in Everton, and he's doing the exact same thing. Every Everton plan is saying the same. What is the plan? What is the identity? It's Lampard is only 2.0.
whoa.
There's no
You're
plan.
firing bare shots
No
today. I did Roy Hodgson first. Now Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. What's happening?
I think you can tell which managers I rate and don't rate. So
Bare favoritism, yeah.
it's better than cussing them directly, eh? But no, look, on a serious note, I mean, what is how? And thing is, we called this before a game. Lampard took charge of any game because this is what he did with Chelsea. You hear the reports, you hear what was going on behind the scenes. He didn't have a clue what he was doing.
But is this similar to a Jared situation where it just seems like because of their playing profile and how good they were, they're being hyped up to be something they're not, and obviously, and a lot is being helped because of the assistant they have.
So
And they're trying to just get through by just managing situations rather than actually managing the whole.
It's a yes and no in the sense that they are both doing a similar thing, but in totally different ways. I.e., the similar thing that they do is they're actually very hands off. They want to give the team talk, they want to make the decision, but they do it in totally different ways. Gerrard done it in a very standoff way.
Yeah.
He criticized Benitez for man management, and the funny thing is, he does it a very similar style, and he totally leaves the training, all the work to his coaches, and he literally has a manager of first team that is basically a manager. Now, the thing that's gone wrong for Gerrard is they lost Michael Beale.
They lost Michael Beale,
good, attractive football. So they got Critchley, who's an organized manager, who's plays on the counter. And so you saw the difference in style, and that's where he went downhill. Lampard is similar, but the difference with Lampard is he does speak to the players. He is on the coaching ground, but he doesn't have a plan of what he's doing, how he's doing it, an identity. He doesn't have none of those things.
But is
So So he's still relying on his coaching. Now at Chelsea, he had a very good coach. Jody Morris was a very good coach, so that plugged the gaps. He hasn't got Jody Morris anymore with him at Everton. I don't know who he has, but when you see it, there is no plan to what they're doing. They literally just turn up, get men behind the ball. They rarely press. You can't see any identity to the football they played. And and thing is, Tarkowski was playing rubbish for Burnley for 2 seasons. The only time they looked decent was when Ben Mee was there. For the last 2 seasons, Ben Mee was Burnley's best defender, not Tarkowski. And you're seeing the same mistakes again here. Connor Cody. There's a reason why a lot of managers played him in a 3 and never trusted him in a 2. Now, you can't base it on characters and leaders. Football just doesn't work. You have to have ability. You have to be good at doing, no point having hundreds of leaders on the pitch if they don't know how to defend, if they don't know how to play.
They do need to have some ability, yeah.
And you see, contrast it to we're criticizing Steve Cooper for playing McKenna and
well, listen,
they
got their first William Bowley. They got their first clean sheet and the win because they played Joe Worrell and Bowley.
Yeah, which we've been saying. We've been saying for a long time, and they beat the one in the cup as well. They beat,
same too.
Who did beat? Chelsea, was it?
No. Chelsea. I forgot who they beat.
Tottenham.
Tottenham.
So and Tottenham played a strong team with Harry Kane in it, and the same two kept a clean sheet. So it's the same thing. The other two might be leaders, but they got to be better defenders. And this is the same problem with problem with Everton is worse because those two are the best defenders they got.
Yeah.
Keane isn't that good. Mina is always injured.
Mina's always injured, isn't it? That's the problem. He's been the
big... and so I just think they're too reliant on Calvert-Lewin, and as soon as he's not on the pitch, it's like the whole self-belief of the team goes.
Is he under? Do you reckon he'll get the sack? Is he under pressure?
It's toxic already. I mean, they threw the shirts back onto the players.
That was funny. I'm not gonna like that. I was laughing.
But it was really toxic, and they're already fed up. And it's because there's no plan.
By the way, the assistant coach, I think, is Joe Edwards.
Whoever he is, who cares?
And don't forget Ashley Cole. Ashley Cole's there with him as well. So, but on the note of Ashley Cole, let's end today's video. Thank you, Adi, again, and thank you for watching, guys. Please make sure you like, share, subscribe, and we'll see you next week.